Hi everyone, it's Sarah, and it is time for the August Rom Com romance video update. So, what am I working on? I am back to work on Citation Needed right here. So let me tell you about what you are watching in this video. This is me editing Citation Needed. I wanted to get 4,000 words written that day. I did not, but so I have these little heart worry stones that are purple amethysty things, and a little solo shot glass. Every time I wrote 500 words, I put another little heart in the shot glass. But this is, I think at this point I was already about 10,000 words into editing Citation Needed. Roll back to July. My July was spent primarily doing Camp National Novel Writing Month for the first half of the month, and then everything else in my life the second half of the month. And I did focus on a horror book. So that is with the editor, and it allowed me to get back to Citation Needed before I went to Harvard. So I got about 10,000 words edited in the second draft. But what you're seeing me do here is going through, figuring out where I left off when I last worked on it, which had been 2 weeks before. Getting things organized. If you recall from the videos of when I was reading through it and making notes for what I wanted to do for the edit, you will recall that I had note cards of different colors that I was making notes on. The orange were scenes from the past, and the pink and yellow were scenes from the future. Citation Needed is a modernization of Persuasion, but gender swapped. So now our Wentworth is our narrator, Penny, and Mason is our Anne Elliot, whose head we're not in. But it's a second chance, which means we're in the middle of their love story, and they are now trying to move forward from a breakup, or at least realizing they both want to move forward from a breakup. So there is a significant amount of backstory that has to be told in some capacity. And romance really doesn't do well with me just ending a chapter and doing a whole flashback chapter. I really have to frame it around the current events. Penny thinking back to this, and if it is a whole scene, it is her remembering the scene, and it does need to relate to what's going on in the present. So I took each of these cards, and for every chapter I decide which of the content from before the first draft that I'm moving forward, which scene this is, which few cards in the pink that I might need, or the yellow if it's but not in this video, it's only the pinks. And then I'm going through the orange ones, and I'm seeing what scenes relate to what's happening in the chapter I'm going to write, and deciding if I want to include that as a flashback. I'm having a really fun time writing this. I'm really excited, but I'm giving myself a lot of time and grace, because as much as it has been a year since I decided to have a hysterectomy. I'm looking at my nails personally. You can't see this, but I'm looking at my nails, and they are I've been playing with slime, and so they're like bright blue. That's irrelevant. But it's been a year since I decided to have the hysterectomy and started doing the preparation, and it's almost 11 months since I had the surgery. So this was a really big moment for me to come full circle energy-wise, and I've had some really good weeks. We'll talk about Harvard in a moment. I had this big, intensive week at Harvard, and then I spent some time with my parents who were visiting, and it was like a go, 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 2 weeks of go, 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 and I had not done that much in that amount of time before, since last September. So I came back and from this, went back to normal life, and I've been absolutely exhausted. It's been about a week and a half since they left, and I'm still struggling to rebalance my energy. So I'm giving myself plenty of time to both write and rest. I'm not pushing myself as hard to write, but still trying to be engaged in the work I have to do, both as a writer and a librarian. So this weekend, for example, that you're watching, I only wrote on one of the 2 days that I could have written, and I did not rush. After my parents left town, I did not rush back to the writing studio to get work done. I really tried to pace myself. I had some time with a friend talking about her writing and spending time with her. I went to a market bought some stuff. I really just have been trying to relax, which is not something I'm used to doing for myself. Like many of us, my life is built around being productive, and if I am at leisure, if you ever worked in food service, it's if you can lean, you can clean. Like, you always must be doing something, and it's very hard to break out of that habit. So deliberately deciding to do that has been important to both my physical and mental health. It might mean that some of the publishing plans are slowed down a little, but I am confident that I will be done with this draft of citation needed at the end of September, which means October and November is when the sensitivity readers will work on this, and then in December I can make edits to give to my editor in January, so that this is ready to go in early 2024 on Patreon. Patreon readers will have this for an exclusive early year. So if you want to, and now Sweeten Up Ginny Darcy is the one they have early exclusive access to. So if you aren't on Patreon, join, because you can read a whole book there. It's we're well past the halfway point. For those of you on Patreon, I am so sorry I forgot to post the July story. We're going to talk about Harvard in a second, but that is pretty much why I forgot about it. And I was exhausted at Harvard. It was a lot. So you will be getting 2 stories this month. And one of the things that you're going to get shared in the very near future are the Miami scenes from Unraveling Carrie Woodhouse that I don't think anybody has ever downloaded and read. And I realized, it's available to everyone on my newsletter, but I don't think anybody's grabbed it. And thus, you guys will be probably the first to read content that was removed. And at the end of Sweeten Up Ginny Darcy, we will get to read and talk about the Jorge content. Jorge's coming back. We're going to talk about this. Before that, I want to talk about Harvard. If you might recall, I spent a week at Harvard doing some professional development as a librarian. It was amazing, and I am now Harvard graduate, even though it was professional development, not a degree. But Harvard graduate, I bought way too many stickers with Harvard. I bought myself and I'm wearing it because it's a cool night, a little hoodie t-shirt, a tote bag, water bottles and cups and tote bag. And they gave us stuff for free. They gave us stuff for free. It was what I needed as a librarian, even though it was exhausting. And I remember when I was in graduate school and going to school, not even full-time, but also working part-time, and thinking to myself, being utterly exhausted at 25 all the time, feeling tired, and wondering, how am I ever going to work full-time if I can't even do the school and the work part-time for a full-time day? And then I realized, I can do full-time work. It's actually significantly easier. And then that week I was at Harvard, I did try to do some work, but every day I came back to the hotel room utterly exhausted, and I realized we don't really talk about how mentally exhausting learning something is. Even when you are an experienced and passionate learner, like I am, there is an exhaustion to learning that we don't give people time or space around. We don't talk about it. To the degree, I don't use my brain half as much in work as I do in writing, but not in work as much as I do when I am learning something. But I did take so much away that will impact the women I write, because we have characters like Penny and Lois Fairfax and Carrie Woodhouse who are professional women who are leaders or trying to become leaders. And this is what I learned about. So you're probably going to read it. It will also, I hope, have a positive impact on my ability to write diverse characters well, or at least better than I did before this, and to be a little more cognizant of the differences and the places they fit into the world. I made a lot of nice connections. A lot of great librarians from around the world were there and taught me so much and let me see how other libraries function and made me inspired. And I had a bunch of story ideas, some that are directly going to impact the knitting series that will be the spin-off of the Austen series. So I was really pleased with everything that I took away. Also, I saw some beautiful glass flowers at the Harvard Natural History Museum, and a lot of Jesus art at their art museum. But that's neither here nor there. Then I spent some time with my parents, and we went to the Anheuser-Busch brewery. Like, they have a local place about 20 minutes away from me, and they do factory tours. And I've done this tour a few times. Emily did it with me pre-pandemic, years and years, like actually now I think almost 20 years ago. The first time I did it, I went with my friend Craig and my roommate Becca. It's a blast. And every time I do this tour, it's ever so slightly different. This time was no exception. And it's going to have to come into the writing. There might be a brewery in Lecoq in the near future. I don't know. I can't tell you, but this is how things happen. I love to go see museums, see local locations, local historical places, because it teaches me something new and it impacts a story. Like, a friend of mine told me she had gone to North Conway, New Hampshire, which is where the White Mountains are. You'll recall last summer I did the White Mountains. We went to the peak of Mount Washington, and it was a blast, and I was with my parents, and we went through North Conway, and we're driving through this little town in north central New Hampshire, and I'm like, this is Lecoq. This is the town. This is what I want. That's how all of this is coming together. There's a haunted hotel there. The next book, Tilney's Haunted Farm, is happening in Lecoq around the Northanger family building a haunted theme park. I'm going to the haunted hotel. It's happening. I don't have actual plans, but it's happening. It is happening. We're doing it. So it's going to be light horror. It's not even going to be horror. It's going to be it's fake horror. It's not. There's no haunting. I'm just warning you now, for those of you who don't like horror. It's not. There's no haunting. That's the point. There's no haunting. It's all manufactured. It's all Northanger magic. Not the magic, the, they pump the scent into the air from vents kind of magic. So, I'm really excited to get ready to work on that, which will start in about October, because National Novel Writing Month is in November, and that's when I will write the last book in the 21st Century Austen series. So, Harvard, wonderful. Story ideas came from that. Jorge's coming back, people. So one of the things I am writing as you are watching, actually it's in a different video, but you'll see it at some point. There's some videos coming. But Jorge's coming back, and he's coming up in Citation Needed. Lisbeth's going to be there. It's all necessary. He has a very, very detailed redemption arc coming. Because if you've read Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging, you know what he did. You know how damaging what he did is to the women in this story, especially Ginny and Lydia and Lisbeth. And he's going to be in Lecoq. He was originally going to show up in Sweeten Up J. Darcy, but I pushed that back. It just was too much. Catherine ended up being a much better villain than adding in Jorge and trying to do gymnastics to make that work. I realized I don't have to do gymnastics. I have to take a walk. Catherine's just 5 steps ahead of me. So I really think that my focus right now is all on Citation Needed for all of you. Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging's new edition is out, though. I released it in July. It is 10,000 words longer than it was before, and now we're in Lisbeth's head, so there's a lot more of her in the book, a lot more of her personality in the narration. We get to be in her head to actually see what she sees, think what she thinks, and feel what she feels, so there's a lot more feeling in it, and it allowed me the chance to clear up some points that people dinged me on, and I realized weren't really made clear in the first version of it, so I'm really happy with it. Love and War in Woodhouse Hall and Love from Northanger Park's Katie are going to get re-edited just to add a little more oomph to them, but not the level of rewrite that Pride, Prejudice, and Pledging got. And Modern Persuasion was already done much last year, actually. I redid that one. So I'm hoping that once I can think again, once I'm done with this draft of Citation Needed, I can make the edits I've already identified for Love and War and Woodhouse Hall. And when things are quiet, I am reading through Love from Northanger Park's Katie and making notes about where I want to add a little more emotional depth to her, because she has a lot of feelings. I just don't think I brought them out as well as I could have, and I can do better. So those will be re-released, I think, by the end of this year. But don't hold me to that. Now that's really about it for the romance books. It's a lot of thinking right now, a lot of focus on Citation Needed, and some other little things here and there. I think this will be out before, but this weekend is Bookstore Romance Day. And if you are in Lowell or the Merrimack Valley region of Massachusetts and you want to come by Lala Books in Lowell, I will be there. In the morning, we're going to be talking about writing romance books, and I have stories. And in the afternoon, we are going to play bingo. Those are the 2 of the 3 events that I will be there for. I will have unicorn prizes for people and stickers. And in the afternoon, even though I will not be there, I highly encourage you to come and stay, because they will be doing a reading from a variety of romance authors are coming and reading from their books, and it's really going to be wonderful. And if Cedric wasn't, the center of my world, and also used to being catered to at his whim, I would be there. But 2 of the 3 events is where I'll be. And I'm happy to sign books if you buy them or bring them with you. But don't buy them on Amazon if you haven't bought them yet. Buy them at Lala. Support a small local business, or any small local business over Amazon. So that is it. I hope you all have great Augusts, and I'll talk to you in September. My birthday's in September. I am turning 47 in September. Wow, it's a big deal. All right, have a great month, and I'll talk to you later.